Welcome to my channel Valuable Coins, All World. If you've ever wondered if those old coins you have lying around could be worth a fortune, you're in the right place. In today's video, we're diving into some of the rarest US coins, revealing their jaw-dropping values that will leave you amazed. Stick with us till the end. You won't want to miss what these hidden treasures could be worth. Let's get started. Top 1. Today, we turn our attention to one such coin, the United States of America Lincoln 1-cent wheat penny, minted in the year 1917. It may look like a simple copper piece, faded with age and wear, but make no mistake, this humble penny is anything but ordinary. To truly understand why the 1917 Lincoln Wheat Penny matters, we have to take a step back in time to that very year. The world was engulfed in the chaos of World War I, and in April of 1917, the United States officially entered the conflict. Young men across the country were being drafted. Factories were shifting into overdrive to support the war effort, and American society was transforming almost overnight. In the midst of this global upheaval, the U.S. Mint quietly continued its job of producing the coins that would fuel the nation's economy. The Lincoln cent, first introduced in 1909, was already iconic by this time. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the coin broke new ground in American currency by featuring a real person, President Abraham Lincoln, on its face. It was a tribute not only to the man who preserved the Union, but also to the values of strength, unity, and integrity. The reverse side, with its simple pair of wheat ears, was a nod to America's agricultural roots and prosperity. In 1917, the mint produced these pennies at 3 different facilities: Philadelphia, with no mint mark; Denver, marked with a D; and San Francisco, marked with an S. Combined, they created tens of millions of these coins. But what collectors and historians know is that it's not about how many were made. It's about how many survived in truly exceptional condition, and how many of those carry fascinating, rare errors. The 1917 wheat penny holds a special place in the hearts of numismatists not just because of its age, but because of what it represents. Minted during one of the most tumultuous periods in modern history, it's a snapshot of life during wartime America. It's a coin that circulated in pockets during the Jazz Age, during the Roaring '20s, and beyond. Some of these pennies bought newspapers with headlines about the war, or candies for children waiting for their fathers to return home from overseas. When you hold a 1917 penny, you're not just holding copper. You're holding a moment in time. Most of the 1917 pennies that survived the decades show their age. They've been rubbed smooth, corroded, bent, and dulled by countless transactions. But occasionally, just occasionally, a coin escapes all of that. It avoids the pocket, the cash register, the passage of time. It gets tucked away in a drawer, sealed in a collector's book, or preserved by accident in a safe deposit box. These coins, preserved in pristine or nearly pristine condition, are the ones that make headlines today. Collectors refer to such specimens as mint state coins. They're graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with higher numbers representing coins in better condition. A 1917 Lincoln Wheat Penny that receives a grade of MS 65 or higher is astonishingly rare. And when that coin is struck sharply, has full original red luster, and lacks any blemishes or flaws, it becomes an absolute treasure. But there's more. The 1917 penny is also known for one of the most dramatic minting errors in early 20th century coinage, the double die obverse. In these rare examples, the letters in the word Liberty and the date 1917 appear doubled, giving the coin a ghost-like appearance. This doubling happened when the coin die, the stamp used to imprint the image, shifted slightly during creation, producing a misalignment on every coin it struck. These double die coins are incredibly rare and sought after by serious collectors. Combine that kind of error with outstanding condition, and you've got the makings of a legend. Auction houses have seen the value of these coins rise steadily over the years. As more collectors enter the hobby, and as coins in excellent condition become harder to find, the demand has never been higher. A century-old coin that once bought a stick of gum now attracts global attention and fierce bidding wars. Every flaw-free example that appears in the marketplace is met with anticipation, speculation, and fascination. But one 1917 Lincoln penny stood above the rest. This coin wasn't just rare, it was flawless. Rich red luster, perfectly struck, and featuring the dramatic doubling on the date and lettering. It was more than a coin. It was a work of art, a historical artifact, and a collector's dream all wrapped into one. It drew the attention of museums, private collectors, and investors alike. And when it finally reached the auction block, The competition was fierce. The final bid came down with a silence that seemed to freeze the room. And when the gavel dropped, the unthinkable happened. That single 1917 Lincoln Wheat Penny sold for an astonishing $225,000. Yes, $225,000 for a 1-cent coin. This is the world of rare coins, a world where passion meets history, and where small, overlooked objects tell massive, unforgettable stories. So the next time you find an old penny at the bottom of a drawer or stuck between couch cushions, don't toss it aside. Look closely. Examine the date. Inspect the detail. You might be holding more than a penny. You might be holding a treasure. Thank you for watching. If you're inspired by stories like this, make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and turn on notifications for more incredible coin discoveries and history hidden in plain sight. Because who knows, your next penny might just rewrite your story. Wheat. Top 2. Sometimes, the most fascinating treasures come in the most unexpected forms. In the vast universe of American coinage, one coin stands out not just for its iconic design, but for the surprising stories and fortunes it holds behind its copper shell. It's the humble yet historically rich Lincoln 1-cent wheat penny from the year 1941. While millions were minted and circulated, there are rare and remarkable exceptions that make this particular penny far more than pocket change. Stay with us, because by the end of this video, you'll learn how a 1941 Lincoln Wheat Penny, something you might find at the bottom of a forgotten coin jar, reached an incredible value of $185,000. Let's begin by traveling back to the early 1940s, a time when the world was on the edge of immense change. War was intensifying in Europe and Asia, and the United States was months away from entering World War II. In this environment of uncertainty and transformation, the U.S. Mint continued to produce currency to keep the economy moving, including the long-running Lincoln 1-cent coin. Though it may have seemed like just another penny to the average American at the time, the 1941 Lincoln Wheat Cent would soon gain historical and numismatic significance. The Lincoln Cent had already become an American staple. First introduced in 1909 to honor the centennial of President Abraham Lincoln's birth, this coin replaced the Indian head cent and marked a turning point in U.S. coin design. Designed by Victor David Brenner, it was the first regular-issue U.S. coin to feature a real person, and what better figure to choose than Lincoln himself, the 16th president, revered for preserving the Union and abolishing slavery. The reverse of the coin featured two upright wheat stalks framing the words 1 cent and United States of America. This design would later be known as the wheat reverse and is beloved by collectors for its classic, elegant look. While the basic design didn't change in 1941, what did change was the sheer volume of coins being produced, and, hidden among those millions, the emergence of ultra-rare examples that would one day astound the collecting world. The 1941 Lincoln Wheat Penny was minted in 3 locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. With over 1 billion coins produced across the 3 mints, it's one of the most common wheat pennies. But coin collecting isn't always about the sheer quantity, it's about the quality, the details, and the unique errors that slip through the cracks of production. This is where the story takes a remarkable turn. Among the countless 1941 wheat cents that entered circulation, a few emerged as exceptional. In some cases, minting errors such as double dies, off-center strikes, and other anomalies created rare variations. But there's also the question of condition, because while billions were made, very few have survived in pristine, untouched, uncirculated states. Over time, most were worn down by use, scratched, or damaged. Only a minuscule number were set aside and preserved in perfect or near-perfect condition. Coin grading plays a critical role here. The Sheldon scale, which ranges from 1 to 70, is used by professional grading services to determine the condition of a coin. A 1941 Lincoln penny that earns a grade in the high 60s, especially one graded as mint state 68 or higher, is exceedingly rare and can be worth far more than you might expect. Collectors are drawn to these high-grade examples not only because of their rarity, but because of what they represent. A coin from 1941 in flawless condition is like a time capsule, a tangible connection to the past, untouched by the decades of wear and change that have passed since it was struck. These rare gems are highly prized and aggressively pursued in coin auctions around the world. Now, let's talk about what makes this story truly extraordinary. In a world where coins are often forgotten or tossed aside, one remarkable 1941 Lincoln Wheat Penny defied the odds. Preserved in astonishing condition, this coin dazzled numismatists with its deep red luster, razor-sharp strike, and perfect preservation. When it came up for auction, it ignited a bidding war, shocking even the most seasoned collectors. The final hammer price? An incredible $185,000. Yes, you heard that right. One tiny copper penny, originally worth a single cent, rose to become a six-figure treasure. Why? Because of a rare combination of flawless condition, historical appeal, and intense collector demand. It wasn't just a coin anymore. It had become a work of art, an investment, and a slice of American heritage all in one. Stories like this remind us that history isn't always locked away in textbooks or museums. Sometimes it hides in your change jar or a forgotten drawer. And sometimes it's hiding in plain sight, just waiting for someone to recognize its true value. So if you ever come across an old wheat penny, don't be so quick to dismiss it. Flip it over. Check the date. Look at the mint mark. Examine its condition. Because while most may be common, there are a few, just a few, that could change your life. Thank you for watching. If you found this video fascinating, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more amazing stories from the world of rare coins. You never know which ordinary object might turn out to be a hidden treasure. Top 3. In every drawer of forgotten change, every old coin jar tucked away in a dusty corner, there might be something far more valuable than anyone expects. Not because it's gold or encrusted with jewels, but because of its history, condition, and the curious stories behind its creation. One such treasure is a simple copper coin, small in size, but massive in importance. It's the United States of America Lincoln 1-cent wheat penny from 1944. And what seems like just another coin from the past has stunned the collecting world with its incredible worth and legacy. To understand why this particular coin commands such attention, we need to go back to the 1940s. A time of global upheaval and transformation. The year was 1944, and the Second World War was nearing its climax. On distant battlefields across Europe and the Pacific, American soldiers were risking their lives, while at home, factories were operating around the clock. Every part of the country was working toward the war effort, and even the smallest materials were rationed and recycled for military use. One of the materials in short supply was copper. In fact, in 1943, the U.S. Mint made a dramatic change to the Lincoln cent's composition, shifting from the usual bronze to zinc-coated steel. These steelies, as they're sometimes called, were temporary wartime coins that left behind the familiar copper appearance and introduced a silvery gray tone. They worked, but not well. The steel since rusted, stuck in vending machines, and confused the public. So in 1944, the Mint reversed course. But they didn't go back to just any copper. That year, many of the Lincoln Wheat Pennies were made from salvaged ammunition shells and military casings, literal remnants of war, melted down and repurposed into coins. When you hold a 1944 penny, you're not just holding money, you're holding a piece of World War II's industrial legacy. That alone gives the coin a powerful emotional value. Despite this fascinating backstory, the majority of 1944 pennies weren't rare. In fact, the U.S. Mint produced more than 1 billion Lincoln Wheat since that year across 3 facilities: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Most entered circulation immediately, changing hands in gas stations, grocery stores, movie theaters, and diners. And over time, they became worn down, scratched, and tarnished like any other coin. So why would any of them be worth more than just a cent today? That's where the beauty of numismatics, the art and science of coin collecting, comes in. Among the billions of common pennies, a few stand out like diamonds in the rough. These are the coins that never made it into circulation. Maybe they were saved by a mint employee or tucked away by a keen-eyed collector right after they were struck. Their surfaces remained untouched by time, bright red, sharply struck, flawless. In the coin world, condition is everything. And a 1944 Lincoln penny in near-perfect condition is a remarkable find. Then, there are the rare errors and misstrikes. Some 1944 pennies were accidentally made from leftover steel planchets from 1943, an extremely rare and highly sought-after mistake. Others feature double dies, off-center strikes, or other minting anomalies that make them unique and collectible. These varieties drive collectors wild, and when paired with an excellent preservation grade, the value can skyrocket. Professional coin grading services use a 70-point scale to assess the condition of coins. A coin graded at the high end of that scale, say MS 67 or MS 68, means it is nearly flawless. It's rare for a 1944 penny to reach those levels because most of them were heavily used. But on those rare occasions when a perfect specimen is discovered, it doesn't just draw attention, it draws bidding wars. Imagine, for a moment, finding such a coin. A wheat penny with the gleaming luster it had the day it was minted. Every detail sharp and crisp. Lincoln's portrait perfectly defined. No fingerprints, no damage, just a tiny slice of American history preserved in time. To the average person, it still looks like a penny. But to a collector, it is art, it is legacy, and it is worth far more than its face value. And that brings us to the moment that has stunned many in the coin community. Point one of these exceptional 1944 Lincoln Wheat Pennies, flawless in appearance and breathtaking in quality, crossed the auction block after years of being hidden away. It was professionally graded, authenticated, and presented as one of the finest known examples in existence. When the bidding was over and the gavel finally fell, the final sale price left onlookers speechless. That single, remarkable 1-cent coin sold for an astonishing $175,000. From a humble wartime penny to a six-figure treasure, the story of the 1944 Lincoln Wheat cent is more than just about money. It's about history, condition, timing, and above all, paying attention to the little things that others overlook. So next time you're digging through a drawer of old coins or sorting through loose change, remember, your next great discovery might be no bigger than a penny. Top 4. There's something magical about holding a piece of the past in your hands. Sometimes, it's not a painting, a letter, or an artifact behind glass. It's something much smaller, something more ordinary, like a coin. And every once in a while, a coin that was once passed from hand to hand, spent without a second thought, becomes a treasure. Today, we're uncovering the fascinating story of the United States of America Lincoln 1-cent wheat penny from the year 1952. At first glance, it's a simple copper coin. But beneath that reddish-brown surface lies a history rich with meaning, and for a rare few of these coins, a value that would leave even the most seasoned collector speechless. The year 1952 was a time of post-war recovery and rapid change in the United States. The Second World War was over, the economy was booming, and America was beginning to carve its place as a global superpower. Dwight D. Eisenhower was elected president that year, ushering in a new era of optimism and development. Television sets were becoming common in homes, rock and roll was beginning to shake the culture, and across the country, everyday life was gaining momentum. And through all this, the U.S. Mint continued quietly producing the currency Americans needed to support this thriving economy, including, of course, the humble 1-cent coin. The Lincoln cent had already been in circulation for over 4 decades by 1952. Introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of President Abraham Lincoln's birth, it was a revolutionary coin for its time, the first U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure. Designed by Victor David Brenner, its obverse proudly displayed Lincoln's profile, while the reverse was framed by 2 strong wheat ears, symbolizing growth and prosperity. This wheat penny, as it came to be known, would remain in production with that design until 1958. By 1952, most Americans hardly gave these pennies a second look. They were common, they were plentiful, and they were useful. Whether slipped into a jukebox, dropped into a vending machine, or tossed into a child's piggy bank, the penny was a constant part of daily life. That's why it's almost surreal to realize that among these billions of coins, a few rare examples would one day be worth an absolute fortune. So what makes the 1952 Lincoln Wheat Penny special? First, we have to talk about the numbers. In 1952, the U.S. Mint produced more than 1 billion wheat pennies across 3 facilities: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. That volume makes the coin common on the surface. But when it comes to coin collecting, rarity isn't just about mintage numbers. It's about condition, errors, and the preservation of detail over time. You see, most coins go through years of use. They get scratched, worn down, corroded, and handled by thousands of people. That's natural. But once in a great while, a coin is set aside, almost by fate. It might be placed in a folder by a young collector. It might be sealed in a roll and forgotten in a safe deposit box. It might sit untouched in a drawer for decades, shielded from time. And when that happens, when a coin survives the decades in perfect, untouched condition, it becomes a numismatic gem. The coin world has its own language for this. Grading services like PCGS or NGC evaluate coins on a scale from 1 to 70, with a grade of 70 being absolute perfection. A 1952 penny graded as Mint State 67 or higher is extremely rare. Coins at that level are free from wear, rich in original luster, and display an incredible level of detail, as if they were frozen in time the moment they left the mint. But there's more to the story than condition alone. The 1952 wheat penny has also been found with intriguing minting errors, double dies, off-center strikes, and die cracks among them. These errors are unintentional quirks that occurred during the minting process, making those coins unique, collectible, and often very valuable. While not every 1952 penny has an error, the rare combinations of near-perfect preservation and an interesting flaw make certain examples rise far above the rest. Coin collectors cherish these discoveries because they tell a story no other coin can tell. They are physical time capsules, untouched by the chaos of the years, protected by chance, and brought into the modern age with all their secrets intact. And for those who specialize in identifying these rare specimens, finding one can be like striking gold. So how valuable can a 1952 Lincoln Wheat penny really be? Well, in most cases, a 1952 penny you find in your change might be worth a few cents to a few dollars, depending on its condition. But in the rarest of cases, when a coin is in immaculate condition, vibrant, sharp, and professionally graded to the highest levels, it becomes a showstopper at auction. Collectors from around the world compete for the chance to own it, and the bidding climbs into territory that most people could never imagine for a 1-cent coin. And one such coin did just that. It was a pristine 1952 Lincoln Wheat penny. Stunning in its clarity and color, preserved so perfectly that experts declared it one of the finest known examples in existence. As it came to auction, the buzz around it was undeniable. Dealers, investors, and collectors knew this was no ordinary find. It was the best of the best, a flawless survivor from a time long gone. The final sale price? An astonishing $155,000. Yes, a single penny. Originally minted for 1 cent, sold for $155,000. This is the magic of coin collecting. It's not always about precious metals or rarity alone. It's about the story, the condition, the curiosity, and the passion behind every coin. The next great discovery could be waiting in a box of old belongings, in a pocket of forgotten change, or even in your own home. All it takes is one coin, one moment, to change everything. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this incredible story of the 1952 wheat penny and want to learn more about the hidden treasures hiding in everyday objects, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell so you never miss a discovery. The world of coins is full of surprises, and who knows? The next rare penny might just be in your pocket. Top 5. Sometimes, the most remarkable treasures come in the most ordinary form. A faded copper coin, one that's passed through the hands of thousands of people, jingled in lunch counters, rolled down sidewalks, dropped in wishing wells. Seems like it's worth no more than a single cent. But every now and then, that same coin holds a secret, a rarity, a story. And in the case of the 1958 Lincoln 1-cent wheat penny, that secret has stunned collectors and left the world of numismatics speechless. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of this unassuming penny and why one of them sold for a small fortune. Let's go back in time to 1958. America was on the cusp of dramatic social and cultural change. Elvis Presley was dominating the airwaves. NASA was preparing to launch its first satellites, and the country was caught between the optimism of post-war success and the brewing tensions of the Cold War. The average American could buy a loaf of bread for less than 20 cents, a gallon of gas for under 30, and for just 1 penny. Yes, a single cent. You could grab a gumball or make a phone call. Pennies were everywhere. And that's what makes this story so unbelievable. The Lincoln cent, already a staple of American currency since 1909, was still going strong. Originally introduced to honor President Abraham Lincoln on the 100th anniversary of his birth, it marked a historical first. It was the first regular U.S. coin to feature a real person. Victor David Brenner's classic design, with Lincoln's portrait on the front and 2 wheat ears curving along the reverse, remained untouched for nearly half a century. But 1958 would be the final year that the wheat reverse would ever appear on a penny. That's right, 1958 marked the end of an era. In 1959, to celebrate Lincoln's 150th birthday, the U.S. Mint redesigned the reverse to feature the Lincoln Memorial, retiring the iconic wheat stalks that had defined the coin for 50 years. That makes the 1958 wheat penny not just a coin, but a farewell, a final salute to one of the most beloved designs in American coinage. But even among these millions of farewell coins, something went unexpectedly, beautifully wrong. Most 1958 wheat pennies are common. In fact, More than 250 million were minted in Philadelphia alone. You could still find them today in old jars or coin rolls, sometimes in decent condition. But coin collectors know that value isn't just about how many were made. It's about how many survived in pristine condition. And more importantly, it's about what unusual varieties might have been born during the chaos of the minting process. Enter one of the most famous and mysterious errors in American numismatics. The 1958 double die penny. In simple terms, a double die occurs when the design on the die, essentially the stamp used to strike the coin, shifts or misaligns during production. As a result, when the die strikes the coin, the letters and numbers appear duplicated, creating a ghost-like shadow or doubling effect. It's one of the most sought-after and thrilling errors for collectors. And while double dies had occurred in earlier years, like the famously valuable 1955 version, the 1958 double die is so rare that only a tiny handful are known to exist. In fact, fewer than 5 verified specimens of the 1958 double die wheat penny have ever surfaced. It's the kind of mistake that happened so subtly and was caught so early that nearly all were pulled from circulation before the public could get their hands on them. But not all of them disappeared. A few escaped. A few ended up in the hands of collectors. And one, in particular, changed everything. This is where condition comes into play once again. Coin grading is a critical part of understanding value. Experts use a 70-point scale to determine just how perfect a coin is, from well-worn pocket change to untouched mint condition. A 1958 penny in average condition might only be worth a few cents today, but a 1958 double die penny, preserved in near-flawless state, is another story entirely. Collectors covet not just the error, but the sharpness of detail, the brilliance of the strike, the untouched glow of copper from over 60 years ago. It's these rare elements, combined, error, condition, and historical significance, that have created a perfect storm of demand. Few coins in the world are as elusive or as desirable. They've become legendary in collector circles, discussed in forums, displayed in glass cases, and guarded like rare art. And then, one day, one of these nearly mythical coins appeared at a major auction. Carefully authenticated, professionally graded, and confirmed to be one of the finest known examples, it sent shockwaves through the room. Bidders knew what they were looking at. This wasn't just a coin. It was history, mystery, and rarity all pressed into a single cent. As the final moments of the auction approached, the bids kept climbing, and then silence. When the gavel dropped, the humble wheat penny from 1958, 1 inch wide and weighing just over 3 grams, had sold for an astounding $135,000. Yes, a 1-cent coin. Worth $135,000. This is the power of collecting. This is why so many people, young and old, are drawn to numismatics. Because it's not always about shiny gold or sparkling silver. Sometimes it's about a little copper coin, nearly forgotten, that turns out to be a masterpiece. So the next time you sift through your change or look through your grandfather's coin album, keep your eyes open. That 1 cent could be the next great discovery. It could be a gateway to the past or even a 6-figure surprise. Thanks for watching. And if you love stories about rare coins and hidden treasures, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and tap the bell so you never miss the next unbelievable find. Because somewhere out there, another penny is waiting to make history. Maybe even yours.